"You're not allowed to smile, right? Not even for me," she teased, tilting her head and blowing a kiss toward the stone-faced royal guard. Cameras were already rolling. Tourists nearby turned with growing curiosity. She wasn't the first to try flirting with a royal guard, but something about her, maybe her confidence, maybe her elegance, pulled more eyes than usual. She stepped closer, her summer dress flowing in the breeze, her fingers fluttering dramatically as her friends laughed behind their phones. "Come on," she grinned. "Just a wink. No one will tell." Still nothing. The guard stood still, cold as marble, trained to be immune to everything. Weather, noise, charm. Especially charm. But inside that uniform, Thomas Evans, age 23, was struggling. Not to ignore her, he couldn't. Every man in that courtyard had noticed her, but only he had to pretend she didn't exist. It wasn't just about rules, it was about pride, about carrying a name that had worn that uniform before him. His father had served in the same post decades ago. He'd passed away in a training accident 2 years back, a wound Thomas still hadn't spoken of out loud. Every shift felt like honoring a ghost. The woman, still undeterred, leaned in. "You're good," she whispered, "but I'm better." Then, without warning, she blew another kiss, slower this time, dramatic, camera still catching every angle. And that's when it happened. His lip, just barely, tugged upward. Not a full smile, just enough to cause a ripple, enough to draw gasps from the crowd. Someone shouted, "He moved!" Her eyes widened, then her face turned red. Not with shame, but surprise. She hadn't expected to win. She certainly hadn't expected him to react. That subtle twitch, that brief crack in centuries of stoicism, it made her blush and laugh, both at once. Later that night, the clip went viral. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, it was everywhere. Millions of views, thousands of comments. "Give that man a raise." She unlocked a new level. Why does this feel like a love story? But what none of those viewers knew was what lay beneath that smile. The weight, the grief, the silence Thomas carried. That uniform wasn't just fabric. It was a wall, built to keep him from feeling too much. But that single smile, it wasn't just for her. It was the first time in 2 years he'd allowed himself to feel anything at all. Her name was Sophie, 24. From Florence, backpacking across Europe, trying to find herself after a brutal breakup and 3 failed job interviews. London was a last-minute stop. That kiss, it wasn't flirtation. It was a moment of fun, of daring life to show her something real again. She hadn't planned on going viral, and she definitely hadn't planned on returning, but 3 weeks later she came back. No friends, no phones. Just her. She stood by the gates again, wondering if he'd be there, wondering if he'd remember. And then he appeared, marching into position, straight posture, cold eyes. But when he passed her, their eyes met. For just a second. And as she turned to leave, heart heavy, he did something no one else saw. With one subtle movement, he adjusted his rifle and touched the brim of his hat. Barely, a silent salute. Her breath caught in her throat. That night, she posted a second video. No flashy editing, just her speaking into the camera with teary eyes. Sometimes you think the world doesn't see you. Then someone reminds you, you were never invisible. The comment section exploded. She found him again. This is better than any rom-com. Make this into a movie. Maybe someone should. But the truth, some stories don't need scripts. Just 2 strangers and a single moment of truth under layers of silence. Thomas never broke rules. But that day he broke through his own grief. Sophie never chased fame. But that day she found someone who made her feel seen again. And the moral? Even in the most guarded places, humanity can shine through. Even the coldest traditions have room for warmth. Sometimes all it takes is one kiss, one twitch of a smile, one moment of connection, and everything changes. So next time you think a small gesture doesn't matter, remember her kiss, remember his smile, and remember the royal guard who broke the rules not with words, but with a look. Before we end this story, let us know in the comment where are you watching from. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button and drop a karma in the comments below.